Can I repeat words of davening in English to concentrate better? This is a shala for a Rav Meir Hira. I'm not a Rav Meir Hira. I'm probably not even a Rav. I'm certainly not a Rav Meir Hira. I have smicha, but my smicha doesn't qualify me to paskin such a shaila. And the answer is I don't know. The din. Remember that you're allowed to daven altogether in a foreign language. In davening, it's important to know what the words mean, and if you need to daven in English, you daven in English. It is, of course, encouraged to daven in Hebrew. In other words, to say that there's nothing significant about the Hebrew tongue versus other languages in tefillah is a mistake. There is something very real and substantive on the side of advantage to daven in the lashon of the nusach of the siddur, because it's full of secrets, it's full of mystery, and also because the language is a pure language, as the Rambam writes in the beginning of Hilchas Tefillah. The reason the siddur was written in the first place is there should be a language that's not entangled and adulterated. So there is certainly advantage in davening in the original nusach, but you're allowed to daven in any language. Now I know for a fact, I heard from my mashpiyim that there were größer chassidim in earlier generations was sagen besetzen in jargon. They would translate words in Yiddish in the middle of davening, including in Bechas Krishma and Krishma, maybe even in Shemon Esrei. And when they were asked about it, they would say the versteht besser of jargon, meaning the Yetzer Hara, the Nefesh and the Bahamis understands better in Yiddish. I can't paskin halacha, I'm not a Rav. This you have to ask a shayla of when you're allowed to be mafsik. I mean, until Baruch Shalom, certainly you could translate it. After Shemon Esrei, certainly you could translate it. And there's a very big difference between making a hefsek in Pesukei Dezimra and Bechas Krishma, and then making a hefsek in those places and in the Shemon Esrei itself to translate words in English. You're going to have to ask it off. But there's no question that tefillah b'lei kavana keguf b'lei neshama, that the most important part of davening is not just the recitation of the words, but to know what it means, to have an emotional attachment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the spirit of Targum, the spirit of translating the davening into other languages certainly exists. Perhaps a Rav will give you that heter, or will at least say you can stop and look at the words in English or think what the words in English mean without actually uttering them, although we all understand the advantage of saying it actually in English. But you're allowed to daven the whole davening in English. To daven in Hebrew and to intermittently interrupt into English, I can't imagine it could be too much of an avera, but you really need to ask it off. I just want to say that when we were growing up, it was a given that after Baruch Shem you don't talk. I see that in the next generation, and I guess at this point I should say generations, because my children are already having children, there's a lack of awareness of the halachas of hefsek and tefillah. People are simply not aware that after you say Baruch She'amar, you're just not allowed to talk. I mean, the Alter Rebbe says you shouldn't talk from the beginning, the first Kaddish, until Achari Kaddish Basra, and he speaks very severely about people interrupt, but that's about talking in shul and disrupting the davening. But halachically, from Baruch She'amar to Shemon, you're not allowed to be mafsik. It's very serious halachas. And people should know these dinim. And if you have a weakness in these areas, if you find yourself talking in the middle of davening dvarim b'teilim, because you're not sensitive, one of the ways of strengthening your sensitivity is to actually learn those halachas that deal with the hefsek and tefillah in Shulchan Aruch or in Kittah Shulchan Aruch, which is part of my hesitancy to simply say, go ahead and translate davening into English, because I see more and more young people who are simply not aware that you're not allowed to interrupt the middle of davening, and that has to be taken into consideration.